Welcome to round 6 of the Banter Racing League on F1 2018, and we are here for the Circuit de Monaco for the Monaco Grand Prix, the most important race of the season. And it was a Gonza who grabbed the most important pole position of the season. It was the second pole position in a row after getting pole in his home Grand Prix in Spain. He set at 1:10.055, and it was a dominant performance in qualifying from the Spanish driver. He took pole position by 1 second from Ventrox in the Force India. Then Addy qualified third for McLaren, ahead of Jagger in fourth for Mercedes, ahead of Fazrul in fifth for Renault, and then Wesley in sixth for Ferrari, ahead of Cryptox in seventh for Force India, and then Combined and Century with no time after they crashed before their timed laps were set. So here we are for the formation lap here in Monaco. Let's see what will happen in this Monaco Grand Prix. I hope something good happens here. So the formation lap starts, and Gonza is leading the formation lap. Ventrox is P2, Addy is P3. And here we go into turn 1. Jagger is weaving along Beau Rivage. And on board with Fazrul now as he comes down to into Massenet and into Casino Square. And still weaving into Mirabeau, warming up the tyres. Of course, the tyre temperatures are very hot here when you turn through the corners, so of course you need to cool them down as well. And there was a little bit of contact with the hairpin there, I don't know why, and that's going to put Fazrul all the way to the grid again. So Wesley is also had that suffering, and also Combined Century had it too. There was a little bit of a train at the hairpin. I don't know what it was caused by, but yeah, that happened. So here is Jagger lining up on his grid slot, getting ready now for round 6 of the Banter Racing League on F1 2018 here in Monaco. And it's now away we go for the Monaco Grand Prix. Gonza gets a very good start, and Ventrox gets a good start, but there's already contact at turn 1, and Jagger's lost his front wing at the start just before turn 1. And now it's a Gonza leading the race. Ventrox in P2 for Force India, Addy in third for McLaren, ahead of Fazrul in fourth for Renault, and then it's Wesley in fifth for Ferrari, ahead of Combined in sixth for Red Bull, and then it's Century in seventh. But it was Jagger who was involved in a massive incident before turn 1, and Cryptox is down as well. Cryptox is way down the field as well. So what just happened there? That was absolute madness at turn 1.
Good job.
So here is Fazrul right behind Addy. Addy has front wing damage from the incident as well, so he was also involved in the incident a bit. Fazrul very close to the wall at the Nouvelle chicane. And is he going to try for an overtake into the next corners? No, he's not. Fazrul would dare, even though Fazrul is an aggressive driver, as we saw in China. He won't even go for moves at Monaco, to be honest with you. Here we go into Rascas. Fazrul has another little look. There's more contact, and Addy goes into the pits. So after lap 1, we have a Gonza leading the race, Ventrox in P2, then Fazrul in P3, Wesley in 4th for Ferrari. And then we have Addy in the pits, Century in the pits, Jagger in the pits, Combined in the pits, and Cryptox in the pits. So that's a lot of people in the pit lane. So here is on board with Jagger, and he comes into the pits. This is how his front wing change went. He actually had to slow down a bit because his teammate Century was obviously in the pit lane. So he had a front wing change. He got involved in an incident further on from turn 1. And here we go, Jagger changes onto the super soft tyres. He'll be looking to take those to near the end of the race. Probably not the very end of the race, but near to the end of the race. And then he'll change probably onto some newer tyres. So that has actually ruined Jagger's race. And, well, everyone in the pits has had their race ruined just now. And Jagger will come out in last place. That's P9. P9 at the moment, so lap 2 of the Monaco Grand Prix has already started, and Jagger comes out of the pits. And here we go, Fazrul in the pits on lap 6 of the Monaco Grand Prix. He was running P3, but Ventrox also in the pits. Is this a normal pit stop for Fazrul? No, it's not. It's a front wing change, but it's also a set of ultra softs going on to his Renault. But it's a front wing change for Fazrul. and he will come out behind Sentry, and he might come out behind Combined. We'll see about that. So obviously the boring laps of Monaco have obviously skipped a lot of laps here, but here is Combined coming out the pits just ahead of Fajl there, and he comes into turn 1, Combined is ahead of Fajl, and he hits the inside wall, and he spins round there, does Fajl, and he is broken his front wing once again. So
you've taken some minor damage.
That is not really ideal from Malaysian there in the Renault. You just hit the inside wall out of the pit lane exit and spun out and lost his front wing again, so that's really unfortunate for him. Here are the replays of the start. Here is onboard from Fajl of the start. And he got a pretty decent start. Addy got a very slow start off the line, and well, it was actually, I don't know how to judge it there. Looked like Addy lagged into Jagger, and then Jagger got spun into the wall, so maybe it was a lag incident, but who knows. I have no idea what happened. So Jagger had an absolute flyer of a start, Addy had a very slow start, Ventrox also had a very slow start, and it was just a chain reaction. Here we go, on board with Combined at the back of the field in the Red Bull. Here we go, he is beside Cryptox into turn 1, and it's hard to judge there. Jagger turning into Addy a bit there, there was a lag. Wesley saving the car beautifully there, but and Combined also got damage on that lap 1, so yep, on the left hand side. And that also we saw how Cryptox got his damage. He got hit by Wesley as he tried to save the car. So here we go into Mirabeau, and there was even more contact, and Combined lost even more of his front wing as Sentry hit him in the rear and sent him into the wall. So that is very interesting. That was very interesting. On board with Addy off the start. You can see how slow he was off the start. And yeah, that states that Addy did get front wing damage from Jagger and hitting the rear of Jagger's car, sending him into the wall there. So that was probably a racing incident, because I just can't judge it. It's a first lap incident. Because it was Addy getting a slow start, Ventrox getting a slow start, Jagger getting a good start, a very good start. And he was just caught up in the madness there. So it was just a chain reaction, I guess. And here is Jagger now, right behind Cryptox in the Force India. Cryptox is struggling with his handling after his first lap crash. And he goes straight into the wall. Cryptox has gone straight into the wall at Mirabeau, and he's going to lose a lot of his front wing there. And he is down into 9th place behind Addy. So that's lap 8 of the Monaco Grand Prix. And on board with Cryptox as he comes into the back. He is understeering with his front wing damage. Very much understeering at the swimming pool. And he's crashed straight into the wall and is out. Cryptox is the first retirement of the Monaco Grand Prix. And he's in the middle of the track and on the racing line at the swimming pool. So could that be a safety car? It ended up not being a safety car somehow. I don't know why that was not a safety car. He was in the middle of the track there, so that was weird. On board with Jagger now. Fajl is in the pits for a second time as he lost his front wing again. Well, lost his end plate anyways. Combined up to P5 and Jagger up to P6. Fajl down to 7th. As now onto lap 17. Here is Combined right behind Ventrox. You can see how boring the laps were. I just skipped all the way to lap 17. 8 minutes into the highlights here. So Combined now is gaining on the Force India Ventrox, coming down towards turn 1 in Saint Devote. And up through Beaurivage, he is getting closer and closer, now into Massenet. Ventrox on the Ultra Softs, and his tyres are probably gone. Combined still on good Super Soft tyres. And coming into Mirabeau, he's getting closer again, and into the Lowe's hairpin. The slowest corner of the whole calendar. And now coming into Portier. And now coming through the tunnel. Combined is really close to Ventrox, but he's not obviously not going to go for a move. He's too far back. And coming into the Nouvelle chicane, he goes into first gear, cuts the corner there. So he's actually pushing really hard here. So he's cutting corners. Now coming into Tabac now. It's really hard to follow here. Ventrox makes a little mistake there at Tabac. And now coming through the swimming pool. Combined is really pushing hard to try and get past Ventrox. This is for the battle for P3. Obviously Combined has not pitted for a second time yet. And Combined will probably have to pit again. And we have the blue flags from Addy. And Addy has been lapped in this race. And Ventrox lags there and goes inside Combine's front wing. And Nagonza just pitted for new tyres, and he is out in 5th place behind the Ferrari of Wesley. And it's currently Sentry leading this race. Ventrox in 2nd place. Combined in 3rd place for Red Bull. Then Wesley in 4th place for Ferrari. And then it's Gonza in 5th for Haas, who has just come out of the pits. And then we have Vladimir Jager in 6th. And then we have Fazrul. And then we have Addy, who has just been lapped. And now, meanwhile, Combined through the tunnel, a little bit closer to Ventrox. And now coming into the Nouvelle Chicane once again, lap 19 of this race. It's going to be a nice battle between Combined and Ventrox. Is he going to get past him? In Monaco, you can't really get past very easily, so it's going to have to be a daring move. Here we go, coming into Raskas. He's got DRS available onto the straight now. He's very, very close, but now into the DRS zone. Combine has the DRS. He's got the slipstream on Ventrox. Coming down towards turn 1. Lap 20 starts, but very close through Saint Devote, but obviously not going for the move there. And up through Baravage. Is now skipping on to the end of lap 20. And Combined is going to stay out. And Ventrox comes into the pits for his 2nd pit stop of this race. He is going to change onto a set of new tyres, and Combined is now in 2nd place. Wesley is right behind him. And Wesley right now is in a battle for the lead with the Gonza. So this Combined is actually holding him up here. So this could lose him time to a Gonza. He's really holding him up. Sentry currently leading the race, of course, but he hasn't pitted for a 2nd time. He's onto the Ultra Softs. And Combined on the Super Softs at the moment. Wesley also on the Super Softs. And getting really held up by Combined. Is Wesley going to go for a move? Wesley surely has to go for a move. He's getting really held up by the Red Bull of Combined here. And he is having not the best race at the moment after that lap 1 incident he had with Sentry. After Sentry just hit him at Mirabeau and sent him into the wall, giving him damage. And the first lap incident he got caught up in as well, hitting the back of Wesley's car. But here we go, coming through into the swimming pool once again. Lap 21. And Sentry is into the pits now. And he is going to change onto the Ultra Softs again, I guess, or the Super Softs. I think it's the Ultra Softs again. And Combined is going to take the lead of this race. But that is not... it's the effective lead is Wesley at the moment. Wesley is the effective leader of this race. But Combined is still holding up the Ferrari. This is definitely frustrating here right now. Combined will have to pit at some point again. And Wesley is really getting held up. He is 8 tenths behind him. This is going to be a race changer right now. Gonza, 3 seconds behind Wesley at the moment here in Monaco. It's a very interesting race at the front of the field. Yeah, Combined will have to make another pit stop. He can't make those tyres last to the end. And Wesley is being held up here. He's getting closer and closer coming into the Nouvelle Chicane, but he's not quite going for a move there into that corner. Now, on lap 22, at the end of lap 22, into Tabac now, and coming through the swimming pool. And it says that Combined will box this lap. And in lap 22, so... will he box, though, for a new set of tyres? No, he won't. He ignored his engineer there and stayed out for another lap, so that holds up Wesley even more now. But is he going to go for a move into turn 1? He is close enough, but he's not going to go for it. Wesley really getting held up by Combined here. Agonzo is now 2 seconds behind him. He is gaining time. So this is going to be a very interesting race towards the end. Lap 23 now. And here we go, coming into Raskas. And Fazrul has retired from this race. And now Combined comes into the pits finally. Wesley has some free air. And Agonza now is all over the back of him. So that's unfortunate for Wesley. And Agonza has actually taken the lead into turn 1. So Wesley has just let Agonza through, I think. And that's going to put Sentry into P3. He has got the fastest lap. Combined comes out in P4. He has changed onto a set of ultra soft tyres. He's going to bring those tyres to the end of the race. So, Fazrul crashed out. He's the second retirement of this race. Let's check the replay of what happened to him. Check the replay of what happened to the Renault driver. And here we go, coming through into the last two corners. And he has just... Oh, that's an interesting crash. He has just replicated the exact same crash he did in qualifying by hitting the inside wall at the final corner and losing his wheel. He did that in qualifying as well. So that was a embarrassing mistake, I guess, because he literally did the exact same crash he did in qualifying. In the qualifying session, he did that as well. So that's quite interesting. As now on to lap 25, and lap 26 now. Combined improves on his lap to a 112.4. He's getting faster on those ultra soft tyres he has just put on. Lap 26 now, and the order of the Monaco Grand Prix at the moment. Gonza is leading, with Wesley just behind him in second, then Century in third, then Combined in fourth, Ventrox in fifth, then we have Jagger in sixth place, and then it's Addy in seventh. But now Combined is coming through to back now, and coming into the swimming pool. He has purple on his lap, but he's actually lost it into the wall. Combined is out of the race, and that is his first retirement of F1 2018. He has crashed out of the Monaco Grand Prix, and that was his first retirement since Bahrain last season, and he has now crashed out of fourth place. He is the third retirement of this race. He completely lost it at the swimming pool. After he was pushing for fastest lap. He saw he had a purple sector, and then he lost it just at the entry to the swimming pool and hit the wall and lost his front left tyre. So that's Combined's first retirement of the season. Meanwhile, here is Gonza fighting with Wesley. Gonza's pulling away, and now here we are with Wesley, and Century is gaining on the Ferrari driver as he come down towards turn one. Combined had a little spectator view after the race, after he crashed out. So I'm just showing it here. And here we go, coming down towards Beau Rivage. Century is gaining on Wesley, 7/10 behind him. It's a nice battle for the win here in Monaco. Gonza is leading this race. Wesley is in P2, Century in P3, then Ventrox in P4, ahead of Vladimir Jagger in P5. Then it's Addy currently running in P6. And the retirements are Combined, Fazrul and Cryptox. As now Century is all over the back of Wesley. This is very, very close. It's very close at the moment. Who's going to win this race? Is it going to be Gonza winning the race? Is it going to be Wesley winning the race? Or is it going to be even Century from last place on the grid winning this race? Here we go. Century's getting much closer, coming down to us to back. On board with him now, coming into the swimming pool. This is a very interesting race for the lead. Century is really pushing to try and get the win of this race, and Wesley is very, very slow at the moment. Through the last two corners, Century almost hits the back of his rear wing there, but now Century has DRS. He's going to go to the outside of Wesley, coming down towards turn one, and he gets past Wesley into turn one. Wesley just let him pass, I think, at the entry of turn one, so Century up to second place. He started last place on the grid, and now he's in P2. This is an interesting race, and now, 2 laps later, we have Gonza getting pressurized by Century. Here we go. This is very close race for the win here. Century is going to get some DRS once again onto the pit straight. Here we go, on board with him now. Coming down towards turn one. Is Century going to get the move? Coming down towards Saint Devote. Coming to turn one, no he isn't. He's not going to go for the move he did on Wesley. But now coming through Beau Rivage. He's got the slipstream up the hill. And now coming through towards Massenet. And Century is going to back out a little bit. He is not going for an overtake at the moment. As now we come down towards Mirabeau. Gonza still leads, but he's very much holding up Century at the moment. Of course, Century's on the ultra softs, so he's on the faster tyre compared to Gonza, who's on super softs. So on board with Century now, coming into Portier, as now coming through into the tunnel, and Gonza's just let him past because he's on the faster tyres, and Century has now taken the lead of the Monaco Grand Prix from last on the grid up to first. And Century has won in the last 2 seasons here in Monaco. In season 1 he won in a battle with Combined, and in season 2 he won a crazy race at Monaco in the Force India, but now he has started last and is looking to win again for the 3rd time, for the 3rd season in a row here in Monaco. Century is the master of Monaco in this league at the moment. But now here is the battle for P2. Wesley and Agonza is now on board with Wesley now, coming through into the tunnel. Century pulling away from the pack on his ultra soft tyres. Here is Wesley, here they come down towards the Nouvelle Chicane, and Agonza has hit the wall on the entry into the Nouvelle Chicane, and has spun round, and that's brought Wesley into 2nd place there. That was an interesting mistake there from Agonza, and he has lost the position to Wesley. That's a very rare mistake from Agonza. Agonza doesn't make many mistakes, but in this one he did. And that brings Wesley up into 2nd place. Agonza down to 3rd. And Vladimir Jega has pitted for Hypersofts because he's going for the fastest lap right now. He has nothing to lose because of Addy being 1 lap behind him. And Jega is obviously 44 seconds off the lead. And actually Jega's just been lapped by Century. Jega's been lapped by his teammate. So that's quite interesting. That now they're going to follow each other through the Monaco circuits. Obviously Jega will get closer to Century. But now here we are on the last lap of this Monaco Grand Prix. Century, who started from last to first, who started last and is currently running first. A great drive from the Mercedes driver. And now he comes into the last 2 corners. And Century now into the final corner. And it's going to be Century who's going to win for the 3rd time in a row in Monaco. And he wins the Monaco Grand Prix for Mercedes. And Jega crosses the line with the fastest lap of the race. And here is Wesley in the Ferrari. He's going to grab his first podium of the league. And he's going to cross the line in 2nd place. And Ferrari's first podium of the season. And Agonza is going to finish in 3rd place, the pole position man. And Ventrox in the Force India is going to finish in 4th place. And he hits the wall out of Raskas, but it's a great drive by Century. And he wins the Monaco Grand Prix for a 3rd time in succession. And Ventrox now comes across the line in 4th place. Vladimir Jega finished in 5th place. He grabbed the fastest lap of the race as well on those new Hypersofts. And Addy finished in 6th place for McLaren. And here we go. Century is celebrating his first win of the season. His first win of F1 2018 and his 3rd win in a row at Monaco. Century. He is the master of Monaco. Century. And they spray the champagne. For the first time we see a Ferrari on the podium this season. And we see Belgium flag on the podium as well for the first time. So it's Mercedes, Ferrari and Haas in the top 3. It's been a very interesting race for the lead. And Century wins the Monaco Grand Prix by 10.7 seconds. Wesley finishes P2 for Ferrari. Agonza is in P3 for Haas. Then Ventrox in 4th for Force India, 46 seconds behind. Vladimir Jega in 5th place, 1 lap behind, but the fastest lap of the race. Addy in 6th place, and the DNFs are Combined, Fazral, and Cryptox. And the championship standings after the Monaco Grand Prix, it would end up being that Century got a penalty for hitting Combined on the first lap, and he dropped down to 3rd, meaning that Wesley won the race for Ferrari. That is a shock to everyone because Wesley did not really have the pace in the last 2 seasons, and he's now won the race. Agonza leads by 11 points from Jagger in 2nd, then Wattmaster in 3rd ahead of Pinto High, and then Combined in 5th, then Century, and then Wesley, and then Lucky Racer, then Cryptox, then Ventrox, then Fazral, Addy, and then Savage, and then the rest. So that was a very interesting battle for the win here in Monaco. Century did take his 3rd win in Monaco in a row, but due to a penalty for hitting Combined on the first lap, Wesley took his first win in the league. And first win for Ferrari as well. So I hope you enjoyed. The next race is the Canadian Grand Prix in Montreal. See you then.